Please pause for the moment of silence. Please stand for the pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Senators pressure the White House to condemn a Saudi prince.
And a student who is all about that bass.
And we have guests from Lift and Wrestling in the studio. I'm Kaylee Lavin.
And I'm Jamison Defner, and NHSTV Live starts right now. More information on the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Following a CIA briefing, leading Republican senators say there is no doubt that the Saudi crown prince ordered the killing of the journalist. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham briefed the media.
I went into the briefing believing it was virtually impossible for an operation like this to be carried out without the crown prince's knowledge. I left the briefing with high confidence that my initial assessment of the situation is correct. I think Secretary Pompeo and Mattis are following the lead of the president. There's not a smoking gun, there's a smoking saw.
Senators are pressuring the White House to take a stand against the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, but the president is reluctant to do so, arguing that there is no conclusive proof that the Crown Prince was involved. Shifting to campus news, some members of our Lift Club at school are in studio with Kaylee.
That's right, Jamison. I've got Simon Restrepo and Rachel Westmoreland from the Lift Club in studio today to give us an update on the awesome stuff that Lift has been working on. So what does Lift have planned for the holiday season?
So for the holiday season, we were thinking about making snowflakes and writing positive messages on them because Lift is about lifting others, hence lifting others for tolerance. And so we were thinking about sending those throughout the teachers and extending that to making maybe little baskets for the janitors to show that we appreciate the staff here at NHS.
So you guys run the advisory lessons. How do you guys choose what you're going to put out there?
So each month there's something different, and just depending on that. So November was substance abuse, and so we had our advisory lesson on that, and the bullying was the month before that. So just depending on the month, we choose the advisory lesson. Okay, so if someone wants to join Lift, what should they do?
Anyone can join Lift. The meetings are open to anyone who wants to be a part of it. And so we meet in room 400 most of the time or in the counseling center, and you just have to talk to Miss Bermia if you want to join Lift.
Okay, so sorry, speaking of the advisory lessons, what do you guys think that the students gain from that?
So we have turned them a little bit more modern and more interactive because we know sometimes people don't pay attention. So when you involve the students a little more, they retain the information, and so they'll pay a little bit more attention and notice that it's important to understand what's going on.
Yeah. Okay, well thank you guys so much for coming in. I'm super excited that we have a group of students who enjoy helping others.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to you, Jamison.
Thank you, Kaylee. I am really glad to see students going above and beyond to make a difference. And speaking of going above and beyond, NHSTV reporter Ethan Smith gives us a story on a student here who strives for musical excellence.
David Hunt is an exceptional student at Northwest High School. He is part of Chamber Orchestra, a class where high-skilled students practice independently to work together to make beautiful music.
You essentially have to take your own time. Well, you take the time to focus on the parts that you're struggling on so that whenever the rest of the orchestra comes back together, then you're able to play together.
David also participates in orchestra outside of school, specifically at his church, which in his words is described as a rock concert.
We have 2 lead guitars, we have singers, we also have a drum and a bass,
David also went for state competition and made area, meaning he placed within the top 64 bases in Texas.
You do all your recordings for area and state at the same time. So they grade it and they rank you, and then they cut it, and then they move to the next round with the next 4 pieces.
David has loved his experience in chamber and its friendly and professional atmosphere and learning opportunity.
It has been fantastic. With an orchestra program, what they've done is they've created a family environment where it's very much like extracurricular, where you come together, you have the same interests, and you just really have a lot of fun.
This has been Ethan Smith, NHSTV.
Thank you, Ethan, for that fascinating story. That is really cool. Now, Shelby's got your sports update, as well as some members of our amazing wrestling team in the studio to talk about the upcoming season. Shelby?
Thanks, Jameson. I'm here with the wrestling team captains, Madison Brown and Landon Brown. So you guys are both Browns, brother and sister. How does being siblings affect your relationship as captains?
It's created a really strong cohesion between the boys and the girls team, because we understand and we're able to talk more, and we're able to fix problems, because it's easier for brother and sister to talk to each other and say, okay, your team needs to fix that and mine needs to fix that.
Yeah, you're just on the same page constantly. Are there any conflicts between you two?
There are a lot, especially during practice and stuff. We have to go with each other to keep the intensity up, to get the mat room moving, to get everybody into it. There's
just boost morale, just be together.
Definitely.
Yeah, I know you guys had a match last week. How did that go, and how are you preparing for your next ones?
We did. I took first in my bracket. He took second with several other placers on both sides of the teams. Our next tournament for the girls is TLC, and the boys will be at Eaton. This is a big one for our returning state placers for the girls to go after it, get what we need, especially coming off of what we just had this weekend. We're going back at it. We're fixing things that we saw we needed help with, developing new ways to do things, just going back for it.
Definitely, I can see that. You're just working harder to get better every time. So you guys would say that you are super excited for your upcoming matches, and you know you're going to do great?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Love the confidence. Thank you guys so much for coming on to the show. Well, you heard it, Texans. These athletes are excited to see everyone cheering them on in the stands. Now, just before I leave you guys, I have a few quick updates. On Monday, the girls basketball team would unfortunately lose to Fossil Ridge with a final score of 41-31. Boys basketball played the next day against the #1 team in the state, Mansfield Timberview, and just could not take their ranking away as they lost 57-51. The girls team will play against Eaton on Friday at 6:30, so everyone come out and cheer against their sister school. Also, swim has a meet tomorrow night at 6 p.m. versus Fossil Ridge. Make sure to wish all of these swimmers good luck. And lastly, switching over to college sports, in a surprise announcement, famous longtime Ohio State head coach Urban Meyer has announced that he will retire at the end of the season this year. Meyer retires with a phenomenal record with the Buckeyes, having over 90% of his games as head coach being won. Meyer believes he will not coach again, so it appears he is hanging up the whistle for good. That's all I have for your sports update, Texans. Back to you, anchors.
That is so crazy that they are siblings and they're playing the same sport.
I know. I wrestle with my brothers all the time, but I would never consider doing it as a sport.
Yeah, no. I couldn't play sport with my sisters.
No, I wouldn't. But on tomorrow's show, we show off how one member of an elite group found on campus prepares for greatness.
And shout-outs for some talented members of NHS.
Thanks for watching, and have a great Wednesday. This has been NHS TV Live.